What's crapping, everybody? Wednesday, April 3rd. No baseball to start off this day. We'll have two live before lock baseball shows, one for the early slate, one for the main slate. But today, we're not done NBA quite yet. We have a monstrous slate. 12 games? 13 games? I've already forgotten. It's 12. Thought it was 13. I'm stupid. I think it's 13 on Friday. Yeah, Friday, not going to be fun either. Oh, Adam, you excited to talk about just a ton of basketball today?
Can't wait, man. Basketball is my favorite sport to talk about. I wish the season would never end. I wish baseball never started. Yeah, can't wait.
It's going to be tricky, everybody. We're going to try to go over every game. This is when it's going to look a little bit different for us as we make our way through everything. Less about the individual plays with so many games. You know, ownership will be relatively low, and more about the path that each game can sort of take. Just about every team has, you know, relevant people on Q tags or sitting them out. There is an infinite amount of value. So trying to point out the guys that are actually good and cheaply priced compared to bad and cheaply priced. Also something we need to take a look at. Quick housekeeping. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. If you want to sign up for a monthly package, you get 50% off. NBA Strategy. And then shout out to Thrive Fantasy. If you go to bit.ly/Awesemo, enter the promo code AwesemoStrat. One big word. You have the opportunity to get a free $5 from Thrive. Don't even have to make a deposit. You just get 5 clams. Throughout the show, Adam and I will hit on some Thrive props. I will plug them into the old model, and we'll see what we get. Lots to talk about, man. You ready to just dive in?
Let's go.
Okay, ready as you'll ever be, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What are we getting tagged in already? People still play NBA. Yeah, yes they do. In abundance. We'll still have live before lock NBA show tonight with Fast Eddie. So tune into that if you're playing this NBA slate. Pistons and Pacers. 104.25 implied total for the Pistons, 102.75 for the Pacers. This is a slow game. Pistons defense been really solid over their last 15. Pacers, the exact opposite, really stumbling down the stretch. They've only been 500 since Oladipo went down. It felt like they were off to that torrid start right after his injury, but they have been kind of neutral as of late. Blake Griffin is questionable. Make sure I get everything here. Somebody else is out. Yeah, Luke Kennard is doubtful. For the Pacers, Darren Collison out. Wesley Matthews out. Alize Johnson is probable, however. So as long as we have that information, we'll be good. You good? Okay.
Trying not to sneeze.
Okay. It looked worse than a sneeze, so just making sure that this wasn't like a heart attack.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
But it was like I thought I was going to sneeze, and I thought I was good, and then I thought I was going to sneeze again, and yeah.
All right.
It's going to be like that all show. So
okay, good to know. Good to know. I mean, I saw it happening yesterday on Deeper Dive, but that looked different than facial expressions you were making yesterday, so that's why I was a little curious. Blake is questionable. Do you expect him to play?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, just hasn't been in for a couple games. I assume that, like, the Pistons are in a different situation. Since they're going to make the playoffs, it's not like they're just putting Blake on ice. I assume they want him to be on the floor.
Right. Yeah, and this game is relevant.
Yes. So I am projecting him in as of right now, but there's going to be a lot of guessing on some of these things. But I put Blake in. Only real interesting thing that I see here from this team, two different parts. Drummond, I don't think there's any issue going to 10-8 on FanDuel, $9,700 on DraftKings. I like him a little bit more on FanDuel, oddly enough. And then Ish Smith is the flat minimum on FanDuel. So if he's going to see a couple extra minutes just alongside of Reggie Jackson, they have done it with no shooter. Luke Kennard.
Yeah.
It's like it's not Reggie Bullock anymore. My mind is just mush. I don't mind using Ish Smith as a FanDuel punt. He's 4,100 on DK. I don't think that you need to go to that direction, but this is not an appealing fantasy game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you with Ish being minimum on FanDuel. Like, even if he didn't get extra minutes next to Jackson, there are enough games where he just plays well and plays Jackson off the floor that he'd be a viable play at 3,500.
Yeah.
If Blake's out, you can look to like a cheap Thon, but again, like with 12 games in April, you're going to probably get even better value than that. So I'm with you. Not a whole lot here.
Okay. Yeah. With a 12-game slate, there's no like sifting into garbage teams to find a 5K guy that may or may not. Like, it's just, that's not how this is going to work. On the Indiana side, we're, no Collison, no Wes Matthews. I don't have like a huge amount of interest in Miles Turner. 8,100 on FanDuel, 7,300 on DK. The piece that stands out most to me, Tyreek Evans is 4,300 on FanDuel, 4,500 on DraftKings. He's the only guy that I got from the Pacers. Obviously, I wouldn't care if I got, Thad or Boyan, Sabonis, but it's very minimal. And because of the way that this game is set up, tough defensively, slow pace, I just can't imagine getting to a lot of Pacers unless they're getting major minutes boosts over their salary tier.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. If I had to take one guy, it would be Evans. If I had to take one like not cheap guy, it would be Turner. But I can't imagine prioritizing this game.
Exactly. That was a trophy wife with the funny comment in the baseball Slack. Looks like you were having a heart attack, but Kennard is doubtful, and go ahead and like that video. But yeah, go ahead and like that video, everybody. Yeah, let's get out of this game. There are games that we're obviously going to want to target. I see 2 of them in the near future. This is another one that's kind of wonky. Lucky for the Magic, they get to play the Knicks. 112.5 implied total for the Magic. Fantastic defensive team. 100 flat for the Knicks. Fantastically bad defensive team. Magic are healthy, so kudos to them. The New York Knicks, on the other hand, Dennis Smith is doubtful. Trier now questionable, and they need him. Kadeem Allen out. Vonleh out. DeAndre Jordan doubtful. I'm sure I'm missing other guys that I don't know exist. I have them. I'm giving 8 guys minutes, including Trier. But we'll start on the Orlando side. 9,500 on FanDuel for Vooch. 9,600 on DK. That $9,500 price tag for Vooch on FanDuel is ludicrous heading up against the Knicks. Love it. Couldn't love it anymore. Any thoughts?
No, I agree. Obviously Mitchell Robinson is a good defender, but I don't think that outweighs just how bad the Knicks' overall team defense is and how good Vooch is.
Mm-hmm. I don't love him as much on DK at 96. It's not as advantageous of a price, but it's still a good price and as good of a matchup as you're going to find. I'm also in for some Aaron Gordon, 7,100 on FanDuel, 7K on DK. He's playing a ton of minutes, and again, it's really hard for him to get a better matchup. I'm probably heavier on Gordon.
Huh?
I'm probably heavier on Gordon.
Yeah, you're heavier on Gordon.
Yeah.
Always are. But
yeah.
But also just from a roster construction standpoint, I kind of doubt that I would get to a whole lot of like 7K guys unless they're on a team where like everyone's out.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. We know that on a 12-game slate, the amount of dudes that you can get from 4,500 and below that are going to play expected 30-plus minutes are infinite at this time.
Right.
So. Yeah, stars and scrubs. I don't know. Maybe a balanced lineup construction is the way to do it when everybody goes stars and scrubs. Who knows?
I agree with that when it's not this time of year.
No, it was tongue in cheek.
Oh no,
But like, yes, on a Tuesday in December, sure.
Yeah, like when I was first starting with NBA, back like hand building lineups, like before Fantasy Cruncher and stuff, like. Everyone would always go stars and scrubs, and I would just clean up on nights that didn't work because I'd go balanced. Then you got to this time of the year, and I didn't really realize how much I needed to adjust, and I would just get cleaned out every single time.
Yeah, there's just too much value out there. Do you care about any other Orlando guys? Only one that's really popping up for me would be Terrence Ross, 4,800 on FanDuel, 5,300 on DK.
Nope.
Okay. The Knicks. What a shit squad. I gave Mitchell Robinson 34 minutes. I'd be happy to have him, but like I'm not going to spend $300 less on Mitchell Robinson than Vooch. on FanDuel. That's the craziest price tag I've ever seen.
Mitchell Robinson's 9,200 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
I thought the 7,100 on DraftKings. I was like, oh, at least they priced him up.
Yeah, FanDuel went a little bit more aggressively. You cannot play Mitchell Robinson ahead of Nikola Vucevic in this one. They've been the same guy over the last 30 days. 1.33 to 1.32.
He should be a lot more expensive on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings, though.
Yes.
Just because of how he gets his points.
100%. 92 feels aggressive.
I mean, yeah, it does.
That said, I don't mind having him. He looks like a really attractive option at 7,100 on DraftKings, but he is a very, very different player. Like, I have him projected for 42.9 on FanDuel and 38.7 on DK. That's how much he's relying on blocks.
Right. Yeah. So I think that like 9,200 would be okay if, then until you start comparing him to other guys.
Yeah. The relativity is the problem. I don't think that he is a problem at 9,200, but. Right. And look, he's been 1.32 FanDuel points per minute over his last 30 days. He's the same guy as Vooch. But Vooch gets to play the Knicks, and Mitchell Robinson has to play the Magic. And that is a really big swing. It's like 12% aggregate across the whole. It's a 7 for me. It's a 7% boost to Vooch and a 5% downgrade to Mitchell Robinson. That's where the swing comes into play.
Yep.
Luke Cornett for 4,700 on DK is a guy that I think you have to be paying attention to. Moutier appears to be the only ball handler on the entire team right now. 6,500 on FanDuel. If you have anything that you like is not the right word. What would you do with the Knicks?
Yeah, I mean, you should get a lot of minutes from Moutier. You should get a lot of minutes from Cornett. But again, it's a bad matchup, and relative to where you'll probably end up being able to get value, they're kind of expensive. 4,700, 2 months ago would be a really cheap play, but you're probably going to get a lot cheaper guys that are going to play 30 minutes. For Moutier, it's kind of the same thing. At 6,500, I think that he is fine. He should play a ton of minutes, but I think that from a roster construction standpoint, you probably get more upside by finding a cheap guy and then upgrading somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm with you. The only thing that gives me concern is if they really do have to play like 7 guys and they run out Damian Dotson for 40 and Kevin Knox for 40 and Moutier for 38, and all of a sudden you're just like, okay, unfortunately I might have to have these guys.
Yeah.
That's the scariest part of this game. In a perfect world, they should be allowed to just like tap out at halftime. Pay close attention to the Knicks news. It's really going to matter if Trier plays. Because if I gave him 20 minutes because I ran out of bodies.
They have 8 even without Trier, right?
What?
They'd have 8 even if he doesn't, I think.
Then I'm missing someone.
Or I'm wrong on someone. Ellenson, Jenkins, Thomas, Knox, Cornett, Dotson, Moutier, Robinson.
Okay, so yeah, I gave no minutes to Ellenson, and I don't know how to give him minutes. I guess they'd have to push everybody down. We're gonna get a lot of like Lance Thomas at the 3 type stuff.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately they have too many healthy big men and not nearly enough healthy guards.
Yeah, which has been like the opposite of most of the season.
Right. Yeah, I totally forgot about Ellenson because he's barely getting run even in this rough stretch of time.
Yeah, I don't have him in a lot of minutes. He's
just Hazonia available?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You never know with these dudes. He's not like he doesn't have an injury distinction, so I guess he's healthy. Mario Hazonia could play 30 minutes tonight.
Yeah,
that's the stupidest thing in the world.
I was going to say, that, I mean, it's the Knicks. They probably have 3 guys off the street that nobody's heard of that are just sitting there, like, waiting to play.
They're running out of roster spots. They still have most of these guys that, like, you can't just keep getting guys.
They don't get, like, you're really bad and you have a lot of injured people and it's April exception?
Apparently not. Yeah, keep a really close eye on any news around Mario Hazonia, because if Trier's not playing, I'm going to expect Hazonia to play, like, a lot. Maybe. Or not at all. That's the that's the beauty of the end of the NBA season. Get out of this stupid game. The floor is yours for the next 30 seconds. Washington Wizards hosting the Chicago Bulls. 119.25 implied total for the Wizards, 108.25 for the Bulls. 11-point favorites for Washington. Both defenses suck. Any fun stuff you want to talk about in the recent history for the Washington Wizards?
The Wizards have the brightest future in the NBA after yesterday. No longer hamstrung by Ernie Grunfeld making stupid decisions and giving John Wall huge contracts and maxing Otto Porter just to trade him for Bobby Portis and Jabari Parker a year later. I'm so excited to not have him be GM of the Wizards anymore.
What's really crazy is I don't mind that the Otto Porter contract.
I hated it. Like, I'm glad they got rid of it.
It always felt like a contract that was really easy to move.
Well, yeah, but like
I would have tried to get something other than Jabari Parker or Bobby Portis for it, for sure. Yeah. But I don't know. I ride for Otto Porter, I guess.
It ended up not having a negative effect, but my whole thing was like, it's not helping you ever win. And
No.
And worst case, you end up in a situation like Wall or something where like either Porter is terrible or Porter gets hurt or something and they're stuck.
Yeah.
And best case is it's a net like nothing, and you end up just getting rid of him to get rid of the contract that clearly was bad in the first place.
I like him as like a fourth or fifth guy on a really good team. I think he's one of those guys that's significantly better when more quality talent is around him. Like if he was in the Harrison Barnes role of the original Warriors team, I think he would look really good.
Yep, I agree completely.
Not that everybody doesn't, because obviously Harrison Barnes did and then signed basically the Otto Porter contract because of it. But
I mean, when you already knew what you had, you had this Wall Beal Porter team, you knew what it was, and you knew like what your ceiling was. So why did you even consider locking it in?
What's the alternative?
Free agent, like signing actual better free agents, because that was before Boogie got hurt. There was a chance they could have gotten Boogie. I
always thought that was going to be the deal.
Yeah, that was the reason I hated the Porter deal, and obviously it ended up not mattering because Boogie got hurt. But it made it so they couldn't get him that offseason. If Boogie doesn't get hurt, he's on a long-term contract now, and the Wizards completely missed that opportunity.
Yeah. Instead, they went after Dwight. Just
better
centers available, Man, it feels like a lifetime ago that weird-ass Dwight Howard news came out at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, totally, forgot about it, except for when people bring it up.
Yeah, it's... Man, he became so, unimportant to the season that it didn't have any, really lingering effects. Dude needs to retire just so no one ever remembers it. Okay. Is Jeff Green done? Do you have any idea?
I don't know.
Two straight DMP CDs.
I have them at 0 minutes.
Okay. That's sort of where I was going with this. So the Wizards are really appealing in this one. I don't know how to not have some combination of 6 of these dudes. In particular, Troy Brown, 4,300 on FanDuel, even though he's not the flat minimum anymore. If he's going to play 40 minutes, I've got him in for 30. I can't imagine getting away from him. I don't know, rank the Wizards. Is there anybody you don't like?
Looking at DraftKings pricing, I would go I have them all really comparable.
Yeah, so do I. That's it. They're all really green in the column on my sheet, but no one's standing out as an individual awesome play.
Yeah, exactly where I'm at.
Beal, Bryant, Parker, Portis, Satoransky, Brown, and McRae maybe for 3,700.
I don't know about the McRae part, but I was with you.
Yeah, so McRae visibly grades out as someone that I would use as a $3,700 punt if today were a different day. I don't expect him to be that appealing because you're going to get guys at 3,700 that are going to play way more minutes than he does. But yeah, is there anyone that you just mentally would prefer?
I mean, I love Thomas Bryant.
Okay.
Just because I love Thomas Bryant.
Yeah. I can't imagine not wanting to have any one of those 6 guys, and I wouldn't really care too much about who I ended up with. It's the Bulls, and it's barely the Bulls.
Right.
I mean, they're just really not an NBA team. They are barely a D-League team. G-League team. I don't think I'll ever be able to say that. Knicks signed some guy named Billy Garrett. Okay.
Of course they did.
I do remember seeing that yesterday. He is not on any site I go to's depth chart. So shout out to Basketball Monster and Roto World for packing it in on the NBA season as much as I would have liked to. Okay, let's talk Bulls. Since we agree the Wizards are just fully in play. Are you going to make lemonade out of lemons tonight?
It's usually what you make lemonade out of, Josh.
Yeah. 4,800 on FanDuel, 4,700 on DK. He was the belle of the ball a couple nights ago. Walt Lemon grades out pretty well for me at 30 minutes, as does a little bit of Shaq Harrison at 6,100 on FanDuel, as does Wayne Selden at 4K on FanDuel, 5,100 on DraftKings if you want to see stupid pricing. 3,500 for Jakar Sampson on FanDuel, works as a really nice drop salary guy. What do you want to do with these stupid Bulls? Robin
Lopez isn't bad either. But
that's not what I expected you to say.
I mean, I have him grading out as perfectly fine. I Walt Lemon is the top guy on DraftKings, followed by Harrison, followed by Selden, followed by Lopez.
We are in agreement. I don't have Lopez close to Harrison. Like, there's a pretty big gap there. It's Lemon, and then this huge drop off to Jakar Sampson, or to Wayne Selden, and then a little bit of a drop to Shaq Harrison. Jakar Sampson, though, yeah, 3,500 on FanDuel. No reason. I can't tell you what position he is on FanDuel right now without looking it up. There are multiple choices. What is it? I'm guessing it's small forward. It is. Yeah, always a nice spot to drop a salary. Who the F is Billy Garrett? Yeah, I agree. I assume we would be prioritizing Wizards before we tried to prioritize Bulls, not named Lemon.
Yeah, I prefer NBA players over not NBA players.
There you go. Can't get those takes on other shows, people. Here's another one that's going to be a blast. The Atlanta Hawks hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. 117.25 implied total for the Hawks. 122.75 for the Sixers. John Collins is probable. Taurean Prince is questionable. I do not expect him to play. For Philly, Embiid out. Jimmy Butler questionable. I do not expect him to play. I can't imagine. I mean, Butler's weird. If he's like, yo, I'm going to go, he's probably going to go, but this is really not the spot that you got him out. Monster pace up spot. Hawks defense is fine. Philly defense is solid, but with no Embiid and no Butler, I can only imagine it sucks.
What's the total in this game and who is favored?
The total is 230, and the Sixers are favored by 5.
Okay, because I have this in it, like, not that.
I mean, well.
Okay, so
I could just as easily be wrong. We've established that over 6 months.
Mine's clearly like a placeholder.
Yeah, Philly by 4, 237 is actually what I have in here now. The line's moved.
So what are the implied?
God damn it. Give me a second. 4.5, 237.5. It's 121, 116.5.
Very nice. I'll change some stuff. I was like, I don't think this game is going to be 105 to 105.
No, it's going to be unfortunately a lot bigger than that. Let's talk Hawks. Luckily, I don't think that we have to project Isaac Humphries. You know how little people care about the end of this NBA season? Isaac Humphries isn't even in Basketball Reference's box score for yesterday's game. I downloaded that information and loaded it up, and I was like, I guess Isaac Humphries didn't get in. And I summed up the total of the minutes for the Hawks, and I was like, 222. I went to it, no box score. I was just like, oh, cool. Like, even there, just like, I'm not putting the work in this early in the morning. Don't think we're going to need him today if Collins plays. Best I can say is Justin Anderson at 3,600 on FanDuel is mildly appealing. I don't really have a ton of interest in Collins or Len. They're fine. I just think that I'll have better options at the top end or the way bottom end.
Yeah. I mean, I think Trae Young is probably the most appealing guy from the Hawks for me.
I assume that I just have his usage way too low or something. He doesn't grade, like, he grades out as fine. He's a guy that I would probably have if this wasn't a 12-game slate in April. What do you have him projected for?
He doesn't grade out like amazing for me, but I just really like the spot for him. Like Philly's been very bad defending pick and roll this year. They've been very bad. They've been vulnerable to ball dominant guards anyway, and then now you have probably Butler out, you have Embiid out. It's not going to help them in any of those aspects.
I don't
But
know.
yeah,
Like,
like,
will it though? Here's the when we first started off with them getting roasted by ball dominant guards, they had Dario Saric and Robert Covington, and not Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler. And now they don't have those guys. Jimmy Butler's not on the floor. Joel Embiid's not on the floor. Maybe that's not the same thing for this team.
what do you mean? Like they shouldn't be better.
I mean, I assume that they're worse as a defense. I don't necessarily think that they have to be worse as a pick and roll defensive team.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. But
Like, I don't think that they're putting better talent on the floor, but the guys that they're putting out there might just have different skill sets.
yeah, that's true, I guess. But I'm not too concerned about
Yeah,
Mike's
no,
stuff.
no, no. I'm not trying to like advocate for the opposite side of it or anything like that, but I throw that sort of, like, I'm throwing that kind of information out because I don't think this is even remotely the same squad. If it's Jonah Bolden and James Ennis and Shake Milton out there, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, my assumption is that they are not going to be as good defensively.
I would guess that their pick and roll defense in those scenarios has a lot to do with Embiid's positioning,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Like, I assume he's putting himself in positions that make that worse.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. That would be my guess. I have nothing to back it up. I can't imagine wanting to have too much of the Hawks. They've just got too many guys that can play anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. And if you get
Yeah.
the 20 minutes on Bazemore, you're pissed. But if you get the 28, you're pissed you don't have him. And
Or you're pissed because it's still Kent Bazemore.
right. Does Vince Carter play 20 or 28? Does DeAndre Bembry get a boost? I would want to focus on just the guys that are not going to play less no matter what. And then we've got Philly. 5 additional possessions in this game. Most likely without... Would you assume that Butler is not playing today? Okay. Simmons, 9,800 on FanDuel, 9,500 on DraftKings. I mean, he should be able to do whatever he wants, but it's not like I really want him to be out there, and there's no real need to run him into the ground in this spot. I gave him 36 minutes, but I'm not comfortable with that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same spot. I like him. I'm happy if I can get to him. I think that he goes for 50 plus like a lot of the time here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you have Tobias Harris for 2K less.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather get there with a little bit more frequency.
Yeah, like, I rarely get Tobias Harris. I have 3 times as much exposure on FanDuel and 23% to Harris on DK with none to Ben Simmons. So I greatly prefer Harris. I'm totally in for Jonah Bolden at 5K if he's going to be playing 28 plus minutes. And, you can work some Redick in. This doesn't, like, the Hawks at this point, I can't imagine are going to be really great at chasing JJ Redick around for 34 minutes. So you might get some additional open looks. I don't mind anybody in that 4-man group that we just talked about, and I don't care about the rest of the team.
That's where I'm at.
Cool. To Brooklyn we go. Actually,
Did you mention Jonah Bolden?
Did I what now?
Did you mention Jonah Bolden?
Yep. Said for 5K, looked really good.
All right. Yeah. I was not
listening. What props do we have for this game? Okay, so we've got a Ben Simmons prop. Let's hit this. Ben Simmons blocks and steals. A unique one. 2.5 is the number. 90 points for the over.
I have exactly 2.5.
I have 2.4, so I would take the under. We don't have anybody else in this game, so let's keep moving on. Shout out to Thrive. Brooklyn Nets hosting the Toronto Raptors. Nets 111.5 implied total. Raptors 113. It's a 1.5 point line for the Raptors. Still no Allen Crabbe, but I believe everybody else is available for Brooklyn. For Toronto, down a couple bodies. Danny Green probable. OG Anunoby out. Pat McCaw going to be out for the rest of the regular season. So we'll start with the Brooklyn side. It's weird. It's like an important game for Brooklyn, but I think they're like pretty much in, right? Like 100% lock.
What'd you say? I was coughing.
Yeah, you're good. Brooklyn's like a lock, right? Not in this game, but playoffs. No,
Sure.
78%. Wow, their 538 projects the Magic, Nets, and Heat all to finish with a 40-42 record.
Wow.
And only 2 of those 3 teams can make the playoffs. That's kind of nuts. So, no, this game is very, very important for the Nets and in no way, shape, or form important for the Raptors, who project to be 3 games behind the Bucks and 5 games ahead of Philly. They are essentially locked into the 2 spot. They might just literally be. You think okay, let's start with Brooklyn. D'Angelo Russell, 9,300 on FanDuel, 91 on DK. Jared Allen, 5,500 on FanDuel, 5,400 on DK. Those are the guys that grade out the best for me, but I'm not getting to anything for Brooklyn.
Yeah, that seems fine. Russell's the guy. Like on DraftKings, he's really the only guy that I grade out as an actual like good play at his price. But when you're talking about 9,100 for him or 95 for Simmons, I would rather have Simmons just as one clear example.
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn's gonna go for it, and the problem really is here. Almost every other game has major pieces missing, so that value is opening up, and this entire team is just priced where they're supposed to be and where they've been for weeks. So,
right,
what you're doing if you're playing guys from the Nets, and it's fine if you get to them, you're just playing them the normal way.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly make the argument we've seen them running the tighter rotation recently, but that's been going on long enough that their price tags have come up as a result. So they're even priced pretty much correctly for that.
Yep. All right, who the hell sits for Toronto today? Huge pace up spot for the Raptors, but there's no way they run at full strength here, right?
Wouldn't think so.
Yeah. Watch out for the dreaded load management. I don't even know how to, like, this. They're basically impossible to break down. If they're fully healthy, I probably don't want anybody outside of Siakam for 7,400 on FanDuel. He's 8K on DK. As bodies start to drop, everyone knows how this team is going to shift people around. So pay close attention to the Raptors. Tune into Live Before Lock with Eddie from 6 to 7. Because we have no way to guess who's going to play for the Raptors today. It would blow my mind if everyone is in.
Yeah, if everyone's in, I'm really not interested. If Kawhi's out, then Siakam, Lowry get better. If Siakam's out, then Ibaka gets better. If Lowry's out, then VanVleet gets better. I mean, there's no way to know right now.
Nope. Got to pay attention to the news, guys. Miami Heat hosting the Boston Celtics. Talk about an unappealing fan. I mean, this game sucks in December. So.
Right.
Pull that back up. So, as we mentioned, Heat need this game desperately for their chances to try to make the playoffs. They are technically the outside looking in team, but I have no idea how the tiebreakers are between those 3 teams. If we look at health, this one sucks. Winslow, questionable. Richardson, questionable. Magruder, questionable. Derek Jones Jr., out. They want those guys to play. They are trying to make the playoffs for sure. I don't have any of them in right now because who the hell knows? And I don't want anybody even with that sort of setup. As those guys get put back in, I'll like this team even less. They have a 105.25 implied total, which is pretty poor for the slate. Boston's defense is good. I cannot imagine rostering anyone from the Heat today outside of Kelly Olynyk is 4,800 on FanDuel, 5,800 on DK. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, it's acceptable, but it's still not somewhere where I would expect to end up because right now he grades out as pretty marginal for me. Like decent, but I assume by 7 o'clock there's just going to be such a different roster construction.
I only got 4% of him. He was just the only one that even had a hint of green.
Yeah.
Here, this is going to be fun for me. I told everyone that Rondo was too high at 6,600. I didn't understand why everyone was on him, including Fast Eddie. Yeah, Sean V also told us that Blake Snell was going to be a bust, and he outscored everybody on FanDuel by 30 pitching points. So Maybe don't take the victory lap on Rondo today.
Didn't Rondo score like 36 points?
I have no idea, but probably wouldn't feel like the day that I needed to take a victory lap after taking a brutal beating on calling a bust on the pitcher that broke the slate.
Yeah, but Rondo did score like 36 DraftKings points yesterday. Not that that's good for his price, but it's a weird victory lap.
Yeah. I messed up bad on Snell, I admit. Yeah. We know. Boston. No Jaylen Brown. See what Boston's status is for playoffs. They project to be a game ahead of the Pacers. They are tied at 46-32. They're essentially locked into playing the Pacers. What they're playing for is home court advantage, which I'm sure they'd like, but don't truly care about. So, I'd imagine everybody's in. Kyrie is 9,400 on FanDuel, 9,200 on DK. That's probably the only piece that I'd be looking at. Some Kyrie and more FanDuel than DK.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah, I don't need to sift through the rest of this. This game sucks. Good luck. And if people start dropping, again, that's when you start to look at guys. You know. Alrighty. Hit that like button. We're about at the halfway point. Let's see if there's a Heat Boston prop. There is. Kyrie Irving. Let's take a look at Mr. Flat Earth himself. 34.5 points plus assists. 100 points for the over. So even action. 34.5 points and assists. How do you feel about Kyrie tonight?
34.5 points and assists. Under?
Yeah, I've got him at 33.2. I have him coming in under that break even. I would guess that he probably doesn't end up as one of my picks. It would be kind of close. God, I can't imagine what someone... I might have to take a look at Thrive at like 6:30 tonight. Like 6 of these guys have dramatically changed because of news and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, we're heading to the 8 o'clock games. And by 8 o'clock games, I mean the only 8 o'clock game. New Orleans Pelicans and Charlotte Hornets. 114.5 implied total for the Pels. 117 for the Hornets. Both defenses stink. Monster implied total for the Pelicans. Frank Jackson is out. Anthony Davis is probable for now. Who the hell knows if that holds by 7 o'clock? It seems to never matter. For the Hornets, Marvin Williams doubtful. Jeremy Lamb probable. Cody Zeller still out. By all accounts, Tony Parker's done. By all accounts, Nick Batum should be done, but who knows? Start on the Pelicans side. Guy that stands out most to me, 6,600 on FanDuel, 6,300 on DK. I gave him 28 minutes. How do you feel about Christian Wood?
6,300 is tough.
It's a lot. He still grades out really well to me. I have him at 1.2 fantasy points per minute. I don't know what to do with him. He's been at 1.6. That's nuts. That is nuts.
I would get there.
What, you don't think you'll get there?
No.
Huh.
I don't believe Christian Wood's a 1.2 fantasy point per minute player.
I think I do. I mean, well, okay. I should probably rephrase that. I think he can be.
Yeah, but now you're paying for him to be.
I think if he was at 1.2 and at 28 minutes, I think I'd probably be fine with him even higher than that.
Yeah,
it's craziness. Check Diallo, 3,600 on FanDuel. Ian Clark, 3,600 on FanDuel. Just pointing those things out because their prices on DraftKings are stupid, but if weird stuff happens and like Elfrid Payton doesn't play, I have him in for 30 minutes. He didn't play nearly that much in the last game. I do have Clark in for 30 minutes. I think those guys are okay as potential drops, especially if AD ends up miraculously sitting out halfway through today. Is there anybody that stands out for you from the Pelicans?
Not assuming Davis is in. Not really. Like Peyton at 7,600, I think is fine.
Yeah.
Randall's priced up a bit, so I don't think I would get there a lot. It's tough because like it's a really appealing game, but there's just so many bad players on New Orleans that are priced up to where I don't really want to get to them.
Here's a question for you: do you think that Elfrid Payton is a better fantasy basketball player than Christian Wood?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
Big pace up spot for the Hornets. 9K on FanDuel, 8,900 on DraftKings. How many minutes do you need Kemba Walker to play before you think this is a fantastic spot? Because if it's 34, I've got him quite a bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say like low 30s.
Yeah. I'm all over Kemba, particularly on FanDuel. That 9K price tag is great. There's nothing going on New Orleans that you have to be worried about. There is no internal defense unless Anthony Davis really is on the floor. And I don't get the sense that he's going to be busting his ass. So.
Oh, why not?
Yeah. Where do you think that Anthony Davis plays the first game of the NBA season next year?
Lithuania. Going over with Ball Brother.
Yeah. No, pour one out for Big Baller Brand. But no, seriously, where does he end up?
I don't know. You don't follow that shit.
This isn't like it's not a big question, man.
I don't like being wrong, Josh.
Man, that Thrive contest must have really hurt.
Oh man. Next season?
I mean, like, you know, the upcoming season.
Yeah. So not the season that he's a free agent.
Correct. Yeah. Does he get traded in the offseason?
Yes.
Okay. 2.
Boston.
Wow. Okay. Not that I disagree or anything. Man, that's going to be lit when that hits Twitter. Oh my God. No matter where he goes. The best scenario for me is that he goes to the Lakers.
Yeah.
And ultimately all of this like belly aching and bullshit like could have been fixed a year earlier with the exact same deal that existed before that.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't wait. Any other Hornets? I get to some Frank Kaminsky at 3,800 on FanDuel. I get to Malik Monk, 3,600 on FanDuel, 3,500 on DraftKings. I don't like that at all. I don't know what to do with these Hornets guys, man. With no Marvin Williams is really weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's another team where I would have interest in Miles Bridges, but his price tag's come up. Kaminsky's price tag isn't really cheap. Like 3,500 Monk can score a lot of points, but probably won't.
Yeah. Kaminsky is $800 cheaper on FanDuel.
Yeah, that's pretty appealing.
Yeah.
Hernan Gomez on DraftKings, I guess, isn't the craziest thing.
Yeah, 4,100. I got to 20% of him there. I don't have any interest at 5,500 on FanDuel, but if he plays north of 20 minutes, like there's a decent chance that turns into a nice value play.
Agreed.
Good luck on the Hornets. It's a really advantageous spot, so have fun there.
It's kind of an annoying game on both sides because it's a good spot for both teams, but between pricing and just quality of players, there's not a lot that you feel great about.
I just saw your DM. That's great. Dallas Mavericks. Actually, let's circle back. I think there's a Kemba prop. Nope, there's not. Is there a Pelicans or Hornet on here? Okay, cool. Anthony Davis. Why not? 17.5 points. And you get 95 points for the over.
You said 17.5 points for Davis?
Yes. That's not how you spell Anthony.
I have it really close. I'll take the over. Wait, which one did you say had more points? Over or under?
95 points for the over.
Yeah, I take the under then.
I'm taking the over, but it's marginal. I don't think it'd be one of my props.
Agreed.
Oh god, I can't wait to deal with that too. It's going to be a great day. I love Wednesdays. Dallas and Minnesota, 110.5 implied total for the Mavs, 111.5 for the Timberwolves. It's a testament to how bad the rest of these teams are. You would expect to have a bigger implied total for these guys, but offensively, there's just not a lot to like. Does our boy play today? Does my boy play today? I know you don't really care for him all that much.
Talking about Marvin Bagley?
We're in Dallas and Minnesota.
I know what game we're in, but Luka's my boy, so I don't know who you're talking about.
For a second, I thought you really weren't getting this, and I was just like, "How little are you listening?" I was like, "Do you have a TV in front of you?"
Yeah,
we're off the rails.
We're going to talk about Sacramento right now. I know they're not on the slate, but
I didn't even notice they weren't on the slate. That's even worse. Do you think Luka plays today?
No.
I put him in. I think it's weird to me that they haven't just ruled him out. Not for the game, but like just being like he's done.
Right. That's what I'm expecting to happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe and it's dumb. The only real reason I could think of to play him is Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. That's why I don't think he's done.
Yeah. Which he should. Like, if he doesn't play the rest of the year, he's still the Rookie of the Year. But
he should be.
Right, but he might not be.
Did you see what Ben Simmons had to say about it?
No.
They asked Ben Simmons like about the Rookie of the Year race and how it's Luka and Trey, and it's kind of similar to like Donovan Mitchell and him, and like essentially he was just like, well, now it should be Luka, and they were like, why? He was like, because he's just better, same as last year. Yeah, so I got that a lot. Like I was just like, way to go, Ben.
Yeah,
it's a good line. Yeah, so I have him in, and I got 52% Luka on FanDuel and 61% Luka on DraftKings. So
as you should if he plays.
Yeah, talk to me more about you don't have him at all.
Yeah, I have 0% Luka right now.
Right. Why do you hate him so much? What's going on?
If he's in 8,800 against Minnesota's got to be like a top play.
Yeah. 61% Luka right now if he's in. I don't really have much of anything from the rest of the team. A little bit of Brunson I think is okay. What do you like in Dallas then if Luka is out?
I mean, 25 minutes of Trey Burke I guess is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't ride hard for like Dorian Finney-Smith also questionable, which I don't know. I mean, Justin Jackson, does he get into play if Luka ends up being out? And DFS, I guess.
Yeah, I would assume he plays a bunch of minutes. I don't know that matters.
Yeah, I don't know.
Especially now that he's not like minimum price anymore.
Okay. So if Luka is out, you're really not going here with any sort of volume.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. If Luka's in though, just all the Luka.
Minnesota side, 10-8 on FanDuel, 10-4 on DK, $50 on Yahoo. How do you feel about Karl Anthony Towns in this spot? Another guy that I expect to be just out there gunning, trying to get that third team All-NBA.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's one of the best plays. Even if you take a couple minutes away from him, he's 10-4 on DraftKings, and he's like this entire offense. He's their leading rebounder, obviously. He scores, he gets assists. There's no way for me not to like Towns here.
Yeah, I think he's their leading everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have about 22% on FanDuel, 9 on DK. If I take Luka out of my thing and recrunch, I assume I get way more Towns because he grades out really well, but only so many guys to spend up on. The race for the third All-NBA center is going to be really crazy.
Who's it between?
Him and Gobert.
Yeah. Should be there, but
I mean, Towns has been like 30 and 15 for like 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, Towns is obviously really good, but Gobert on both ends.
Yeah. No, I mean, he didn't even make the fucking All-Star team.
Yeah, well, that was a joke too.
Yeah. Well, you might say something about it. I don't know. It's gonna be really crazy. It has major ramifications because 1-2 is going to be some combo of Embiid and Jokic for sure.
Right.
I assume Embiid, but we'll see. Any Wiggins or Tyus Jones, Saric, anything else for you for Minnesota?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. We've got 4 games to go. We are cooking through this, relatively speaking. See if we got any Thrive props. Karl Anthony Towns, 12.5 rebounds.
I got 13. But I also have him projected for like 32 minutes, so that's definitely on the low end.
Yeah, I have him at 34, I think. 12.5. You get 115 for the over. Just in case anybody is curious, that is probably going to be the number one prop on the board today.
You said you got what for the over? One.
You get 115 points for the over.
Oh, yeah, that's easy.
I have him at 15.3 rebounds.
Yeah,
What do
what's
I
up?
have his actual line at? I've got him for 28, 15, and 4 today.
Yeah, 28, 14, and 4.
Yeah. God, he's so damn good. All right, heading to Denver now. Denver on a back-to-back. That's really the only piece of information I can remember from yesterday. Hosting the San Antonio Spurs. 108.75 implied total for the Nuggets. 104.25 for the Spurs. By all accounts, I think everybody is available for both teams. And the most I got of anybody on either site from either team is 5% Paul Millsap on DraftKings at 6K. I think that Jamal Murray is always a viable GPP option, especially at 5,900. He'll almost never really grade out all that well, but I would not mind him at all. Is there anything in this entire game that you want to focus on?
I agree with you on Murray. He never grades out that well from a median standpoint, but he does have a monster ceiling every game.
Yep.
Jokic grades out the best for me on DraftKings. You ignore the opportunity cost to the position. When you factor that in, it gets a little bit tougher. I would rather pay 10-4 for Towns than 94 for Jokic.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I think I'd rather pay 9,500 for Simmons than Jokic too.
That want to be close for me. But yeah, like there's nothing here. Like I can't pay 10-5 for Jokic if Vooch is 9,500 on FanDuel.
This has to be like one of the least appealing 12-game slates we could have gotten as far as like just elite plays and like high scoring guys, right?
Yeah, there's nothing out there, man. It's really rugged. I can't even imagine how it changes. It could really be bad.
Yeah, like I assume that if we did this show, at 5 or 6 o'clock, there would be a lot more like, oh, this guy's a really good play. But just because of the matchups, it's not like you very easily could have a slate where it's like you need 450 points to win a GPP tonight.
Yeah, for sure. If the right teams played, pace up matchups, defense, but you really only have Wizards, Bulls, and Pelicans, Hornets as like two dreadful defenses meeting each other and getting like pace out of it too.
Right.
Or the 10:30 game, which is too far down on my screen and I would have to scroll, and that's just a lot of work. I guess I'd be okay with DeMar DeRozan, but I can't imagine that's super appealing by the time we get to lock. It's Murray. Like Murray is the guy that can win a slate for you out of this game.
I agree with that. I'm trying to pull it up now. Derek White is still 5K on DraftKings. I'm okay with that. I don't love it, but I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's another one of those. Like on a different day, I probably have 25% Derek White. All right, 3 games to go. This one should be a doozy. The Phoenix Suns are hosting the Utah Jazz. 114.5 implied total for the Jazz, 105 for the Suns. So Jazz are 9.5-point favorites in Phoenix. They are very clearly different defensive teams. For Phoenix, Tyler Johnson out, DeAndre Ayton out. For Utah, no Derek Favors, no Kyle Korver, Jay Crowder probable. So we'll start on the Phoenix side. Is Jamal Crawford at 3,500 on DraftKings in play? He's played 30 minutes in 3 straight games.
Yeah. I mean, it's not in play like, oh my God, Jamal Crawford, I can't wait. But in play is in a viable play at 3,500. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Josh Jackson, 6K on FanDuel, 58 on DK. I could look there. Devin Booker is 11K on FanDuel today and 10-3 on DraftKings. But there's no possible way that I'm spending that money on Devin Booker.
Yeah, I mean, I still have him projected as a fine play. I have him at like 51 points, but still feels like you're paying more than you need to.
Agreed. I can't really point out anybody. They've already moved Rashawn Holmes' FanDuel salary up to 7,200. They are preemptively pricing up these centers.
I have Holmes on DraftKings as a really good play at 5,200 with power forward.
Yeah, I would not mind that at all. $2,000 cheaper on DK. Adam's doing lines to make sure that he can still stay on the show.
Yeah. My nose, just tons of Coke over here.
Yeah. Ship my blow. Utah. How do you feel about Gobert? 10-5 on FanDuel, 8,500 on DraftKings.
I love him. I'd rather play him than Jokic also.
Yep, agreed. Donovan Mitchell, 9,600 on FanDuel, 8,200 on DK. Another guy that is just dramatically underpriced on one site compared to the other. I'm in for Mitchell here.
Yeah, sure. Not as much a priority for me. This is the first time in a while where I think Gobert actually grades out as like a top center play, even factoring in everyone else.
Okay. Yeah, I really like Mitchell here. I can't imagine, like, he might get off on trying to like go shot for shot with Booker.
Yeah, that's entirely possible.
And one of those teams gets to go up against the rest of the Utah Jazz to do it, and the other one gets to go up against Jamal Crawford.
Yeah.
So give me some Donnie Mitchell. I can largely care less about the rest of Utah. You know, you would never be upset to see Rubio, Ingles, or Crowder's names in lineups, but
yeah,
they're not bulk plays.
Who scores more points, Devin Booker or Donovan Mitchell?
Fantasy points?
No, just basketball points.
Is that a prop?
It should be. It's not, but
I have Booker at 32.8. I have Donovan Mitchell at 29.8. So Booker.
Okay, yeah, I have Booker at 32.3. I have Mitchell at like 27.
Well, we have Thrive props for both guys. We want to take a look at them?
Sure.
Donovan Mitchell, 30.5 points plus assists.
You said what, 0.5?
30.5. Even action on both sides.
I'm at 30.
I'm at 34.4. I'm very clearly taking the over.
If I give him another minute like I should, I get like, still borderline, but I would be slightly over.
Devin Booker, points plus rebounds plus assists, 37.5. Oh my God. You get 95 points for the over.
I'm at 37.5.
You have points, rebounds, and assists at 37.5?
I missed the rebounds part.
Oh, I was like, no, you don't.
Like 42.
Yeah, I've got him at 44.5. I would be taking the over there. Like, we just got done saying that he's at like 32 points. He's literally doing nothing else. All right, moving on. Final two games. The Portland Trailblazers hosting the Memphis Grizzlies. Good God. 113.5 implied total for the Blazers. 103 for the Grizzlies. A little bit of a pace down spot for Portland. We'll look at Dame, 10-2 on FanDuel, 9,800 on DK. I mean, Dame is the reason that you don't play Devin Booker.
Yeah, I agree. Memphis not as slow and not as good defensively as they were for most of the year either, which you would expect with their current roster compared to what they had. So
Yuta Watanabe not locking people down?
Yeah. So kind of a somewhat appealing spot that hadn't been for most of the season. I've obviously been really high on Dame without McCollum. It, for the most part, hasn't worked great, but he's also had some tough matchups, so I don't mind getting back to him here.
Yeah, I got 46% of them on FanDuel, 22 on DK. I assume this would be the first spot that I would start to pay up even more as value starts to come out, and if I take Luka out. Do you care about anybody else from Portland? Because I do not.
Nope.
Good God. Okay, Memphis. Let me read it off. There's so many dudes. Memphis Grizzlies will be without... Well, Mike Conley is doubtful. Avery Bradley's still out. Noah questionable now because Joval done. You think Noah plays? Because I have him in now. I think they don't have a choice.
I have him out, but I kind of agree with you.
Okay, I gave him 20 minutes. If I'm looking at guys here, Ivan Robb is 4,800 on FanDuel, 4,200 on DraftKings. I think he's gonna have to play a ton.
Yep.
And then Tyler Dorsey, 4,300 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DK. That DK price isn't great, but he's still in play.
Yeah, Rab, Dorsey, and Wright are the three for me.
Yep, Wright, 7K on FanDuel, 6,500 on DK. I didn't get to him because he's expensive now. But yeah, I got him in for 34 minutes, and that could actually be 40 depending on how this shakes out.
Yeah. And he's still close to a point per minute guy without Conley.
Yeah. I probably need to make an adjustment to Portland's defense because they are certainly not going to be the same team defense without Nurkic. Apparently, Ian Scanter's not that great on D.
Really?
I don't know. So I hear.
Dame's not a big pick and roll guy or anything like that.
No, not at all.
No, that's the wrong team anyway. Never mind.
I mean, I got where you're going with it.
Yeah, but I was thinking Dame was going against Cantor.
Oh, same team. Yep. Final game. Look at us. 11 games in an hour. That's pretty damn good.
April basketball, baby.
Yeah. Los Angeles Clippers taking on the Houston Rockets in the late night hammer. Does this game matter at all? Rockets are... Yep, I mean, they are fighting for seeding. Warriors are going to be the one, barring an epic collapse. Nuggets project to be the 2 seed, 1 game ahead of the Rockets, who project to be the 3 seed, 1 game ahead of the Blazers, who project to be the 4 seed, 1 game ahead of the Jazz. That is a dream scenario for the Rockets right now, to be able to finish in this 3 spot, or potentially the 2. Nope, for sure the 3.
Who's the 6?
Oh boy, this is bad. Who's the 6?
Yeah.
So if the Rockets are in the 3 spot and this goes the way 538 projects it, they would be playing today's matchup, the Los Angeles Clippers. The 2-seeded Nuggets are staring at the Oklahoma City Thunder in the first round, which is not the spot you want to be. The Warriors now, by getting the 1 seed, get a date with the Spurs and probably like a week's vacation.
Yeah. Man, that's rough for Denver.
Yeah.
It sucks. I like Denver too. Like, I want them to do well.
Same. I mean, a Rockets Thunder first round series, like, not that I don't like Denver, but that would be must-see basketball.
Yeah.
So if this game is important for the Rockets, and I guess mildly important for the Clippers, although they look to be pretty much set in stone into the 6th seed. They could potentially catch the Jazz. They're technically a half game back, but I assume that the Clippers have a couple more hard games to go, and the Jazz do not. They have the Jazz at 2 games ahead of them. Do you care about any single piece of the Clippers today, who I believe are fully healthy?
I was looking at the Rockets. Not really, no. Like, I have Lou Will, Gallinari, Harrell, all as, like, completely mediocre DraftKings plays. Like,
yeah,
not bad, not good, just there.
Yeah, none of these guys are even... I'd be shocked if I had any piece of them. Rockets. It's really just Harden for me. 12-4 FanDuel, 11-4 DK. He'll get more and more appealing as the day goes on.
Yep.
But I don't need Capella. They're not stretching Chris Paul out any longer. The only way that they would do that today, I think, is if he just was like, yeah, I want to go roast the Clippers.
Right.
So outside of that, I mean, I think Eric Gordon for 4,400 is okay just because of that price tag, but okay is the key piece of that. It's just Harden for me.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. And I agree with you. As the day goes on, it should be easier and easier to get to Harden.
Yeah. That's where we're at, guys.
Particularly difficult now, I don't think.
No, not at all. And he'll be a direct benefactor if Luka is out for me.
Yeah. But yeah, like as the day goes on, you should be able to get like Harden plus Lillard or Harden plus Luka or whatever.
12 games. We put it in the books pretty damn quickly. Do you have anything else you want to touch on for this slate?
Nope.
Yeah, I agree. All right, rest of the day will look as follows. MLB Live Before Lock coming up at 11:30. Going to go over the 5 early games. We will have the deeper dive at 4:45, briefly touching on their Adam and Laffy's positional rankings before heading into the late slate or main slate MLB. Chris and I will be on Live Before Lock for baseball 6 to 7, and then Fast Eddie Fear will be holding it down 6 to 7 as well, talking about this NBA slate and leading you guys up to lock. And then we're still not done. At 9 p.m. tonight, Ben Raza, Jason Roslin, doing live before lock on the Valero Texas Open. You cannot get enough PGA content for that one.
I forgot we had tonight.
Yeah. And then Masters next week.
Yeah.
Will be fun. But
Yep.
Valero Texas Open. Get it all today. That's where we stand, everybody. I am going to try and get 30 minutes of work done before I hop right back on here and talk baseball. So best of luck to everybody. Adam, anything else?
Nope. Good luck with baseball, basketball, golf, whatever.
There you go. Later, everybody.